Camera action.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Preethi Reacts, Assistant Professor in the Department of CSE from Mallareddy Engineering College for Women. So today I am gonna give an introduction to the React.js. So before going to React.js, there are few things we have to know before. That is, we should be aware of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So why I am saying these three are required, that we will know in the further slides. So these are the pre-requirements for if you want to know the React.js. So coming to that, what is React.js? When we say Java, C, C++, these are all programming languages, right? And when it comes to HTML, we say it's a markup language. And finally, when we say JavaScript, it's a scripting language. Then the question comes here: what is React.js? It's a programming language, or it's a framework, or it's what? What exactly? So before going to that, I want to give an overview difference between a framework and library. So when it comes to library means there are few things, like few codes are already predefined that we will use in the code based on the requirement. When it comes to framework, it's like pre-structured. We'll take the real-time example. When it comes to library, like there are bricks. When we want to construct any building, we have bricks, hammer, and cement. Those are all requirements, right? So those are called libraries. Using those libraries, we have to build the house. That's what library includes. When it comes to a framework, it's a blueprint of a house. That means it's already pre-planned and pre-opinionated. Like the kitchen should look like this, the drawing room should look like this. So everything is predefined. That's why it is called as a framework. And library is just the things which we want to use for the development of any website. Now, React is a JavaScript library. Why I'm saying React is a JavaScript library means it is built based on the JavaScript itself. So it always relies on the JavaScript to develop a new component. Why this is developed? As already JavaScript is there. Why again we have to go for React.js? That means when you take JavaScript, if you are developing any long website, it will take a long time to load the DOM. So whenever any small change occurs in the DOM, it takes entire re-rendering, and that takes huge quantity of time, and it's heavy loaded. That's a little time taking. And when it comes to React, so React is a JavaScript library. That means it will use virtual DOM that I will discuss in the next slide. That's why it always relies on, as I said, it always relies on JavaScript, because it is developed to increase the features of the JavaScript specially. So that's why it's always called as JavaScript library, and it is used to develop user interfaces, like that means reusable components. We can say components in the regular language called functions, like function reusables are we do, right? Similarly here it is called as component. It is developed by Facebook in 2013. From there, React Native came. React Native is used to develop mobile applications, whereas React is used to develop only front end. So here I want to mention one point, that is when it comes to a library, it is not responsible for routing and data management. Again here the question, what is routing? Routing means it navigating between the pages. So that is, React is not responsible for that. And the second one is data management. That means database and API calls to interact with the database and all. That is also, it is not responsible. It is only responsible for how an UI looks. How should the UI look? It's only a developer tool to develop the front end. Next, so as I said, React.js is powerful, flexible, and it's a building dynamic user interface. The word meaning of building dynamic pages that I will tell in the next slide. So here comes, before going to know the depth, we should know the difference of the DOM. So in the real DOM, for example, any tag is there. In this, some other tag is there, h2. So these are the tags we have, right? So on. So entire these all tags will be defined to a tree structure like this. Okay, these tree structures it will generate. So this is done by the browser. So browser will always maintain this structure which is called document object model. Why I am saying document object model? This everything is converted into an object. Each and every. So this is an object, this is an object, everything is an object. That's why it is called as object model. So this is when you load, like when you parse any HTML code to the browser will convert that code into the DOM, to understandable language. Why it will convert means when we take JavaScript. So JavaScript, we know in HTML we use a script tag to add the JavaScript code so that it will become like interactive page. So similarly, I want to do vice versa, like I want to write a HTML code in JavaScript. That will help you with the React. So that part we will discuss later. So here everything is converted into DOM. So whenever, for example, there is a change in the last input tag. Let's say there is a change in the last input tag when it comes to the real DOM. So when I change the input tag to the button tag, entire DOM will be re-rendered. Re-rendered means what? This will rerun. So if it reruns again, what happens? It is low. Like, and also it takes more time to load each and everything, and time efficiency is also not perfect with this. That's why in React it is called virtual DOM. What happens with the virtual DOM is whenever any element is loaded like this, the real DOM replica will be generated. For example, this is the real DOM. Okay. For this, it will replica. It will create a virtual DOM for React purpose. Like we will write rough notes, right, when the main page will be there. Similarly, it will generate one of the DOM, which is same, duplicate, lightweighted. So when any change occurs in the node, like similar changes occurs in the node, what this will do? This will again generate a new node. This will again generate a new DOM. It will compare these two DOMs. Then it will only take the updated things. So that updated things will be re-updated to the real DOM. So what happening here is it is not reloading the entire DOM element. It's only modifying the what is required things, and those are pushed to the real DOM, right? So here it is less time taking and highly efficient, and it is fast. So we can see here. Yeah, as we can see, and it is maintained by JavaScript libraries, not by browser exactly. So re-rendering, I said only changed elements will re-render, as we discussed the same, right? So updates, this is lightweighted because it only creates a virtual DOM, and those changes will be updated. Here it's heavy, as I said, it will reload the entire DOM. So here a slide. Yeah, so key characteristics here will go with this. Component based architecture means a component nothing but, we can say it's a function in JavaScript. The same word here, it's called as component. But every component will have a return type that is an HTML tag only. So if you want to return more than one HTML tag, then we should go for a concept called fragments that I will tell you. Okay. It's a redeclarative means it only responsible for how the UI should look, but not how the backend work will be done, like the data transfer, how it is done, it is not responsible. Or changing between the tabs, it is also not responsible. So as I said, it uses the virtual DOM for optimizing performance. Unidirectional data flow means, for example, there are two components. Only the component props, parent to child, will only be transferred, not to the child to parent. If you want to transfer, there is a concept called higher order components that we should go for. So next, as I said, it has a JSX, right? Previously we discussed in the HTML tags we can add JavaScript code. So similarly in the JavaScript code we can add HTML using JSX, that is JavaScript XML. Here we can see this is a JavaScript, this is a HTML tag. Okay, directly we can add here. When you go to the traditional method, we have to remember each and everything. This syntax you have to remember. this is the type, this is a prop, and this is the data you want to process. So this is only for the single heading. If I have multiple things, how many things you will do, and when you want to update, again update will be separate method. Everything is too lengthy. That's why there is a concept called JSX where you can directly add HTML tag to the JavaScript. So basic example I will give, then I will wind up. So here the component nothing but it's a block. We discussed, right, it's a normal function. If you know JavaScript, you will understand here. So function name, here you can see written, I am returning an HTML tag. As I said, it will return only single tag. For example, where is that notepad? For example, if you want to return multiple tags, then there is a concept called fragments, where you have to keep empty tags. In that number of tags, if you want to add, those you can add, but it only returns single tag. That's why we have to use fragments concept. So we have two types of functional components. One is functional and class components. I said class components are too heavy because in class components we have life cycle methods which are too lengthy codes, that is a bit heavy to remember. That's why they introduced the latest concept called functional components, and it is pretty easy. There's like we can copy paste everything, almost all will be the same. So here props, I said props are like arguments in the other language. Here we call it as props. So if you want to send any prop, so this is from the other component. You are sending greet to the Preethi as a name. You are passing to this prop. Here you can directly use, but this should match with the calling function. For example, here you are using name. Here you are using something else, means it will throw the error. So whatever you are passing the argument name, that should be matched. That's it for the basic prop. And it is only responsible, like for example, I am sending Preethi to the component, right, greeting. Here if we want to modify the name, you can't change because it is complete, the ownership is from the parent. The ownership of the variable is from the parent. If you want to change there, you have to change from the parent. That's why child will not have that access. That's why it's read only. Okay. Now, if you want to use some other variables inside the child, then there is a concept called state. So state, it's with hooks. It's a functional component. It's a hook. So here count, set count is a return type for this particular function. So here it should come, editing gone wrong. So here it will be 0. That means it will be 0 here. So the initial value of count is 0, and when you are returning, what you are returning, the count and 0. Initially when this component is load, you will see in the browser count equal to 0, okay, and a button with the name increment, okay. When you press on the increment, this is already predefined method. So this count will become updated here. This will become 1. So you will see 1. That's why it is little bit fast, because it will not reload the entire DOM. It will only load this particular button only. That's why we will go for the React, and that with only hooks. This is only the functional component. That's all from my side. Thank you.